Hi, everybody. This is Drew Tomlin with the Association for Middle Level Education, AMLE, and I'm joined today by Dr. Christopher Weiler. He's an assistant professor of education at Kutztown University of Pennsylvania, where he teaches in the middle level teacher education program. And he's also, in addition to doing all that, he's also the wonderful author of this wonderful article you're checking out at AMLE magazine entitled "Join the Crowd: Building a PLN." Something that I've been doing quite a bit since joining AMLE, increasing my PLN. So it's an important thing, and we wanted to talk a little bit more about it. So thank you so much, Chris, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So we're going to get straight into the questions. We know your time is valuable. So here we go. So first question is an inspirational one. What inspired you to write this article, and why is the topic particularly relevant now?
I was at a faculty retreat, actually, for the professors in the College of Education at Kutztown that our dean organized, and Heidi Hayes Jacobs was there. And she's kind of a guru in the world of curriculum and technology. She asked us, as a faculty, how many of us were using Twitter. And only a few hands went up. And I was sort of using it, but not a lot. And after that, she said, well, who's using it for professional reasons? And almost every hand went down. And it was actually a little bit embarrassing as a faculty, I think. So I thought to myself, wow, I'm supposedly one of our technology, integrators. I need to get on the stick here. So she said one of her other challenges was try something new each week. That's her motto. And I couldn't live up to that quite, but I tried something new that summer. It was at the end of the semester. And that summer, I decided I'm going to tackle Twitter. I'm really going to look at Twitter and figure it out a bit more and look at it from the perspective of how I could use it professionally. Because I think me, like a lot of people, believed that, or I, like a lot of people, believed that Twitter was really just for entertainment purposes, that it was fluffy and that there wasn't a lot of substance to it. And when I really started investigating, I realized, wow, there's so much here. It's such a rich environment for educators to go to. And I think most people don't realize how much is really out there at their fingertips quickly when they're looking for almost any kind of information about their craft, of the craft of teaching.
Very true. I've asked that same type of question where I've been about people's use of Twitter, and the same type of hands go up for the entertainment purposes, but not for the educational ones. So it's interesting to see that's your same experience too. You mentioned that one of the aspects of building a good PLN is identifying trustworthy information. Obviously, that's something that we stress with our students as well. But for a PLN, how do you know when a source or a piece of information is trustworthy enough for your PLN? What's some advice for how to choose sound people to follow on Twitter, for instance?
Yeah, I think that is one of the biggest challenges, but I think Twitter makes it easy as well. One of the first things I would suggest anybody do is follow the organizations and or people who they know are have already been vetted in the world of education. For instance, and I'm not just blowing smoke, AMLE was one of the first organizations that I followed. And then I actually followed you because I knew that I had been at the AMLE conference. I think it was probably Minneapolis. And I knew that you were working in this area as well. So as I was doing some of my research, I started following you and AMLE, and I followed Rick Wormley and a couple other people. And what's great about Twitter is once you start following people, I get to see who you follow. So I could look at AMLE's people who they follow and start to really build my network that way. The other thing I did was once I started finding people, because it's too many, it actually becomes too many people to follow, you have to just start to look at their tweets and see what they're tweeting, and some you can immediately say, oh, this isn't of interest to me. So it goes a little bit beyond even whether it's trustworthy or not, but if it's not of interest, then you don't follow them. And then the trustworthiness, I think, really comes with how many followers they have, how many people, believe that they're good enough to follow, in a sense. I found it pretty easy, actually.
Good. Yeah, that's good advice. The following those organizations, I forget about that sometimes. That's a good place to start. Is if you're wary of, or leery of following specific people, following organizations that have a good, solid reputation is a good place to start. That's really good. And of course, Twitter does have a way to unfollow people as well. So if you're following somebody and then suddenly they start posting some nonsense, you can always click that unfollow aspect.
Well, and I have, and I think not even so much as they're annoying me, but that it's not relevant to what I'm looking for. And I think one of the terms that I use in the article is curating, and I think that's an important skill for people to use, that they have to know how to sift through all this information and organize it, and that can be daunting. But Twitter, I think, especially makes it very easy to do that.
Yeah, and in addition to the cultivating advice, in your article, you give such wonderful hints and tips about how people can get started with growing their PLN. So how once I get started, how does someone maintain that growth and cultivation? Even, I mean, there's so much to do and time is so short. How do you maintain your PLN and keep it growing with everything, all the other challenges that you face?
I think that can be daunting, but it's also one of the benefits of it. I think it's at your disposal. So first of all, you can use it whenever you want. What I believe for me, and this is just for me, I think routine is important. So what I started to shift from was waking up in bed, grabbing my iPad and checking Facebook for social reasons, to checking Twitter for professional reasons. And again, inspired by Heidi Hayes Jacobs, one of the things she said really hit me. She said, it is daunting because there's so much out there, but if you pick up your iPad and learn one new thing every day, it's one more thing than you knew before you did it. And that's kind of been my mantra, that you can get overwhelmed with it, but if you turn it on maybe twice a day, once in the morning and once before you're going to bed, depending on your your work habits. Maybe it's in the middle of the afternoon with a cup of coffee. The routine's important, and that has helped me to really maintain it and grow it.
So in terms of instruction, moving towards that side of things as well, what's one exciting way that teachers are using social media in their classroom instruction?
I'm going to highlight two. One is really not anything specific. It's that I really believe we do need to do a better job with this, and we need to harness it more for higher order thinking skills. I think it's great with that. I think a lot of teachers are hesitant to use it, and I'm not seeing a lot of it in my travels at this point. Some people are implementing it, but I think a lot of people are worried about student confidentiality and how you get students using things like Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest even. But one of the things that I think is the bedrock ingredient is getting parents involved. I think using it with parents allows them to see that it's not this big, scary world necessarily. It can be controlled. One of the things that I love, that actually I follow on Twitter, is the Class Dojo. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh yeah.
So and it's really kind of a microcosm of a PLN for parents, where teachers can really communicate with parents in an environment that is pretty safe. It's one I think that it kind of engenders trust, and so that's one of the things I've seen them do. And I think it's more and more parents are becoming comfortable with the idea of teachers using social media to teach. I think that's really got to be our first line, because without parent support, it really does fall apart.
Exactly, and the only way you're going to cultivate that support is by a continuous dialogue about it. So I'm glad you brought up that there are other stakeholders that can benefit from
Yeah.
the use of Twitter and and growing those PLNs. Because parents and families should be in our parent learning network too, in our professional learning network too. So it's a good point. All right, so the final question is a metaphorical journey, one that I always like to take people on, a food-based one, of course. So here he goes. Are you ready for it, Chris?
I'm ready. I love this question.
All right, so if a PLN was a food for middle-level education, what kind of food would it be and why?
I really do love this question. I thought a lot about it. Of course, this question probably shouldn't have been the one I thought the most about, but it actually, I think it shows how important metaphorical questions are for students too, because people really get into it, and I certainly did.
Cool.
You know, I started with the obvious, like the apple a day, and that was trite. But what I came up with is chocolate, dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is one of those decadent, you know, we think of it as a decadent food, but it's also one of the healthiest for us in terms of minerals and vitamins and antioxidants. And what I found out about dark chocolate, and maybe this is arguable, I don't know. I'm hoping it's not, because it encourages me to eat more of it. There's a lot of studies that show how powerful it is in terms of the health benefits, including things like increased blood flow, lowering your blood pressure, and improved brain function. And so a PLN, to me, I think one of the things that I really believe about the PLN is it reduces our stress. It reduces the stress of having to worry about where we're getting our professional development from. Can we afford it? Can we get to the conference? It increases our I'm going to call it blood flow. It increases our ability to flow into the world and meet people that we may have never met before in countries that we couldn't access any other way.
Right.
Obviously, it's great for brain function. And I think one of the best things about both dark chocolate and PLN is a little bit goes a long way. Going back to my point about how we do it, how we actually maintain it and check it every day. 1 or 2 really good articles that you can read a day, just like a little square of chocolate, it goes a long way for your health benefits and for our educational purposes.
Wow, Chris, I'll tell you what, you knocked that out of the park. That's really super cool.
Thanks.
You did some deep research, as well as creative thinking as well to make that happen. Yeah, and I like the fact that you chose a specific type of chocolate to get this extended metaphor going, because it can't be your basic milk chocolate or any kind of like just whatever. It's rich, but also, like you said, decadent, and it's complex.
Right.
Oh boy, howdy. All right, well, you got my brain synapses going too, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Awesome. Well, gosh, Chris, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to talk some more about this this critical topic about growing our PLNs through Twitter and other social media forums. Excellent article here in AMLE magazine. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. And of course, thank you, AMLE magazine readers, for checking out this hangout and reading the article as well here at AMLE, where we help you reach every student, grow professionally, and create great schools. All right. Thanks again, Chris.
Thank you.